program with our existing staff. So in summary, the executive program has seen a decrease of 1.7%. That amounts to $17,800. There is a savings. All of the savings in the program are in the legal program, $45,000. We're budgeting an increase of $32,000 in the administrative program due to the addition of the assistant city manager position, or 4/10 of one person. I would note this final item. One of the things that Mr. Antonin talked about was trying to establish a contingency fund. That's where in the past a number of years ago we had a contingency fund. We now use fund balance for that, and those needs are in there, and it simply was he requested somewhere between $100,000 and $200,000 in a contingency fund for the council to use during the year. We are cutting the fund balance very close this year. It's we're getting down where if something comes up, it's not that we won't have money, but we will have to look at funds internal to our fund balance that we use for cash flow and different purposes. So we've not established a per se contingency fund, but we've allocated some money in the fund balance, and on November 9th we'll discuss that in a little more detail. But that was a potential program, but we did not establish the program this year. The legislative program, we'll talk about a little bit about charitable gambling. That's on your agenda this evening, but that is a program within our budget. Council, I want to talk about your expenses for the City Council, and then we have a very small budget for the commissions and committee expenses. Overall, this program's got a 2.8% decrease, and the decrease, though, because of these programs are relatively small, is $5,500. Charitable gambling on your agenda tonight for all of those. The entire budget is $31,038. I would note, Council, just to give you very rough numbers, the allocation is decreasing. I'm sure you noticed that tremendously. We are seeing a very, very substantial decrease in the amount in the contributions for charitable gambling. In 2007, we took in $44,460. Last year, it dropped to $29,377. So even though we gave out $46,000 last year, we were funding that out of the balance and the overall account, and we are recommending only allocating $25,000 this year, simply because we see probably another 10 to 20% decrease in the amount. Again, it's simply that we're having less agencies do charitable gambling, and also less of disposable cash in that program. But we do want to maintain a fund balance. Moving into the council, also on your agenda this evening, Council, you had made a motion to consider holding your increase in council salaries for 2010 and 2011. That's on your agenda this evening. So this budget includes a no allocation for cost of living increases for the council for 2010. Council, in effect, it's a $1,500 per year item for your increase. So over the 2-year period, it's $3,000. Commodities and supplies, no increase proposed. And then I did want to note what is in the budget for the City Council for 2010. We do have a number of memberships, subscriptions, the league, various organizations that the council and the city per se just subscribes to. The budget for that is $40,000. The second bullet item, travel and training. Council, you've discussed this back and forth. The budget right now includes $1,500 per member, or $7,500 for travel and training for council next year. Now, at one point in time, you talked about $500. We've already exceeded that, so we want to be sure there's money in that account for the travel and training for the council. And consulting and service fees, we're have a budget of $35,500. We did spend $32,000. This is for council, for you, on various studies or other things that you have, that you're thinking about as goals for next year, where you want specialty services brought in. This is the first account we would go to do the specialty studies for the City Council. Finally, the commissions and committees. It's a very small program budget. This is tracks the expenses of the commissions, whether they may be doing a travel program, where they're doing something where we need funds to cover them to go to various programs. We don't obviously pay any of our commissioners. We do have a very small allocation for expenses for publications. The Police Civil Service Commission obviously needs legal publications, so other various works, but again, this is a very small program. So with that, any questions, comments on the administrative and legislative programs?
Questions, anyone?
If not, I'll turn it over to Mr. Folds, who will be doing the IT budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Council. If I could please have the overhead also. Given the time, I'm not sure what that is, but we'll jump right into it. The structure of the IT department is the same as it has been for the last probably 3 to 4 years, actually. We have myself as IT director, Nick Franzen is network systems analyst, and then our GIS analyst is Chad Burgo. Again, and as it has been the last couple of years, and what is proposed currently in the 2010 budget, the IT technician position remains vacant. We'll go over the 2010, the highlights of the 2010 proposed budget. We have an overall budget reduction of 2.9%. That equates to about $24,000 reduction this year. Again, the IT technician position remains vacant. And then you see a small increase in commodities and contractual services, and that both the commodities basically comes from fulfilling a couple projects that we meant to do in 2008 and 2009, but have been kind of cut involving our networking equipment. And then the contractual services, we're taking into consideration 2 software packages that were purchased in 2009 for our public safety police department. Workload and performance indicators in 2008, we are maintained devices in 2008. We're up 29%. Again, we're going to see in 2009 probably an estimated 10 to 15%, and the majority of those is in 2007. We took on the management of our cell phones, so we started barcoding those and maintaining the life of those, and basically because so many of them are PDAs now, we took that on, and that's where you see a large jump where that comes from. The help desk tickets for 2008, we're up 5%. Again, we see estimates right now show us at about that 5 to 10% range for 2009 as well, and a lot of that again comes with the fact that we're now maintaining more systems. Calls resolved in 24 hours. This is basically help desk tickets that we take care of within 24 hours, and that's about 55% in 2008, and that's right around where it has been in previous years. We were at 60% in 2007, and we look to be at about 60% in 2009. Ratings of good or excellent from our users are at about 89% this year. Again, we're kind of in 2007 we were at 93%, and we look to be right around 90% in 2009 as well. And then web page hits. Actually, before I get into that, basically what it's trying to show in the past 3 or 4 topics there, we're really not setting, we're trying to stay afloat. We're getting by with what we have, with the added systems that we've added. And we're still, staying afloat is the best way that I can put it.
Michael, I have a question.
Absolutely.
That vacant IT technician position, how would that affect this? In other words, if you could fill it, what would that do?
Well, I think we would obviously look to improve on those numbers a little bit more than what we have in the past years. I think it would be expected of us. The other side of it that may not be as shown as much, it may be when we look at some new performance indicators for our department, is the uptime and availability of our higher-end servers. Mostly it's going to help out taking care of some of those tickets so that Nick and myself can try and work more on the more widespread systems that we have at City here. But obviously, we would look to improve those numbers with another person or with part of a person.
Okay, thank you.
And then the webpage hits. We had a very huge leap from 2007 to 2008, and we went from about 900,000 to 1.8 million. And I'm not quite sure why. One of the reasons, I believe, is that we were, our old provider, I don't believe did as good of a job of filtering out what a true hit is. There's more and more services out there that go out and crawl your site, and I hypothesize that that's where a lot of these hits come from. We went to our new provider, and in 2009 will be the first year, it'll be the benchmark for our new provider, first full year, and estimates look like we'll come in at probably about 900,000 hits. So we'll look, and I wrote in the notes of the budget pages that will be the benchmark for the new provider, and then we'll set goals based on that, because I believe it's a much more accurate number. Moving forward, what we're looking to do in 2010 with the proposed budget, we have a project that involves converting many of our physical servers over to virtual servers. I won't get into too much of that other than to say that it's a project where we're using less power. It's a kind of a green initiative with the IT department, but it also allows us to have a lot more options for redundancy and disaster recovery. Basically provides us with much more coverage for in the event of an emergency where we can get back up and running quickly. We have offering additional forms on the website, and again, that's something that's included with the current service. It's basically looking to use these forms to capture whether it's requests for pothole repairs or complaints, really working with our different departments and kind of making them known what the power of these forms can really be. Prepare network infrastructure for voice over IP. As our phone system ages, we're looking to move towards either a new phone system or partnering with surrounding communities to move to a newer phone system, and that would involve some upgrades to our infrastructure, and we're looking to do that in 2010. Improve security at city buildings, working with building maintenance to look at either card access systems or different video surveillance to basically add to those buildings. Provide maintenance and training. Again, this is where we go back with the forums, is just to use what we currently have better. We have some really very, very powerful software programs out there that many of them are not, we don't believe that they're being used to their full capacity. So as opposed to going out and potentially, adding more to our workload, really focusing on what we currently have and trying to better the use of those. And then just in closing, some of the things that we're doing right now that we're proud of for 2009, we've increased some campus connectivity. The park maintenance building is now connected via high speed. Part of that project also involved connecting to some North St. Paul fiber optics out at the corner of White Bear and County Road B. Very excited about that simply because it connects us via high speed to many surrounding communities, North St. Paul, Roseville, and really the whole northeast suburbs. And working with them to share potential, share staff, basically share costs. And that came with that connection. Implementation of IP-based surveillance system. I mentioned that briefly. We went to basically a new back end for all of our video cameras, and it's much more scalable and quite a bit actually more accurate than what we were using before. Again, virtualization, that was part of the project that will finish in 2010. We started that in 2009 and got a large part of that in 2009. Implementation of the police our in-car video system. Chief Tamala was a lead for that, and then we assisted on the technical side, and that was a project that we feel went very, very successfully. And then what we're doing right now is it involves this room and how we record and replay our meetings. We're in the process of installing a device which will allow us to do all of our replays digitally and do all of our scheduling digitally, and basically will provide us a lot more flexibility for what we play over our Channel 16. We have a lot more opportunity for replaying PSAs and a variety of meetings and content other than just what we're constrained to right now. And then the last thing, which you're well aware of, the web streaming of some of our meetings, or